Change starts with you. Learn from Buffalo, build on the work you've already done with the REDCs, and let's really bring upstate New York back to the economic engine that it was.
In the past 5 years, communities all across New York State have been re-energized, reinvigorated, and are undergoing a true transformation as they build back their cities and towns from years of decline. In 2011, Governor Cuomo created the Regional Economic Development Councils, where 10 regions vie for $750 million to support their economic development plans. Each region has been working within their communities, collaborating in a bottom-up approach to come up with a plan to revive their neighborhoods, better their local economies by increasing jobs and bringing back businesses. It has been a huge success. But this year is different. It's bigger and better with the introduction of the Upstate Revitalization Initiative. This competition allows for 7 upstate regions to compete for $1.5 billion. That's right, $1.5 billion. Competing for the funds, the Finger Lakes, Central New York, the North Country, the Mohawk Valley, Capital Region, Southern Tier, and Mid-Hudson. 3 of these regions will be awarded $500 million each. We know this model works. We've seen how competition creates strategy-driven results. We've seen firsthand how it's transformed Western New York. Here's how it works. All 10 regions are eligible for the traditional REDC funding. And again, 7 of those regions are competing in the Upstate Revitalization Initiative. 3 regions will each receive $500 million over 5 years, plus additional REDC funds. After those 3 are chosen, the remaining 4 URI regions, along with Western New York, Long Island, and New York City, will be eligible for 3 REDC Top Performer Awards. And all the regions will receive more funding this year than the top performing regions received last year.
We showed in the most difficult circumstance that you can do this. And now, my friends, it is up to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, Senate Majority Leader John Flanagan, Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli, and WPIX-TV reporter and anchor Kirsten Cole.
Good morning, everyone. What a spectacular day this is, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to the 5th Annual Regional Economic Development Council Awards and the very first Upstate Revitalization Initiative Awards. I'm Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, and it is such a pleasure to be with you today. Before I begin our program, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guests. You heard, first of all, our Governor Andrew Cuomo is here today. Welcome, Governor. Happy to have you here. Our Senate Majority Leader, John Flanagan. Our Assembly Leader, Joe Morelli. Joe. Also want to recognize, now it's up to you. You can applause after each one, and we'll be here a little longer, or you can hold your applause. I'll leave it up to you, okay? Rockland County Executive Ed Day, Onondaga County Executive Joni Mahoney, Orange County Executive Stephen Newhouse, Montgomery County Executive Matthew Ossenford, Oneida County Executive Anthony Pacente, Broome County Executive Deborah Preston, and our hometown mayor, City of Albany Mayor Kathy Sheehan, and all the other mayors and elected officials who have joined us today. Thank you very much and welcome. And on behalf of the governor, I thank each and every one of you for making this journey across the state to be with us here today. Today, this is the day we've been waiting for, ever since the governor announced just about a year ago, not just the continuation of the REDC process, the annual funding we've been receiving for the last 4 years, but also the very first time ever Upstate Revitalization competition for a share of $1.5 billion. Governor, over the last year, I have heard from literally hundreds of people how successful your innovative approach to economic development has really, truly transformed not just communities, but how people feel about their communities. But they also believe, for the first time, that their state government is no longer a barrier to progress, but is in fact a helping hand and a willing partner. And I believe that one of the enduring legacies of your administration will be not just the brick and mortar buildings and the transformed downtowns, but it'll be the collaboration and the relationships that have been forged by former competitors. And as a county official, I know this to be truth. The counties that once competed for business are now on the same page. Business people who fought over business are now on the same page. Economic development people now on the same page to promote their regions. And that is something that is going to continue to endure. I've heard it from so many people. In fact, Governor, through this new process, you have made believers out of all of us. And I know it's tough to convert people. I'm from Western New York. You know our story. It was tough. It was tough, not unlike many other upstate communities. We used to say to the businesses, last one out, turn off the lights. It was that bad. We were hemorrhaging people, hemorrhaging businesses, and our hope was gone. And it was a very anti-business climate in our state at that time for decades. Vacant buildings were overrun with neglect, and truly a cruel reminder of the once vibrant upstate that gave the opportunity to a middle-class life for millions of Americans. And we saw that the top-down approach to economic development in our state was nothing but an abject failure. And no one had the guts to come forward and challenge the status quo until Governor Andrew Cuomo showed up on the scene. And he turned upside down the delivery of economic development dollars. He empowered the local stakeholders, all of you, to determine your destiny and create a vision for your future. So I've seen the success. You know, I've been all over the state. I sense the pride, the optimism, the revitalized downtowns, and the so many success stories that have made possible, not just by you being empowered to do it, by your work. And I know it's been tough. I've been at all of the meetings. And you've rolled up your sleeves, you pulled together, and you left nothing on the table. And that's exactly the spirit of competition that our governor envisioned when he created this concept. This year, we will have 3 regions set to accelerate their growth by winning additional funding through the URI. And I can't wait to see these regions begin their next step. But today, in truth, it's a victory for all of us, because every single regional council will take home more funding than last year's top performers did. And I'm going to repeat that for you. That's an important point to remember. This year's winners will be, every single regional council will take home more funding than last year's winners did last year. So everybody is going to win today. And it has been, such a pleasure for me to get to know all of you, the regional council chair people, and the countless hours you put in. I look forward to the many days ahead. I've gotten really good at not just shovels in the ground and groundbreakings. I'm really good with a pair of scissors. I really like to go to ribbon cutting, so make sure you keep inviting me out there as we put shovels in the ground and blueprints on the table. And I also want to thank the incredible dedication of the staff who have been sweating out this process for over a year. People like Andrew Kennedy and Rich Toby and Ryan Silva and Brendan Hughes and so many others. You put your heart and soul into this process, and on behalf of the administration, we want to thank you because your efforts have made New York State a much better place to live as well. And now, it is an honor for me to introduce our Mistress of Ceremonies for today's event. Many of you know her from her hard-hitting undercover reports from Pix 11 that have actually helped protect consumers from scams that threaten their wallets and their safety. She has won multiple Emmys, AP awards, honors from the Society of Professional Journalists and the New York Press Club. We are so grateful to have her with us here today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Kirsten Cole. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. It's so great to see so many smiling faces in Albany. Thank you for the kind introduction. They stamped my passport at the border when I came up here this morning. I appreciate the friendliness. It is my pleasure to be with you all here on such an important day. And any day outside of Manhattan in upstate New York is always a good day, right? I have to tell you, I've enjoyed my time in Albany, Albion, Troy, Ithaca, and from Niagara Falls to Watertown. So I've done some time across the state, and I absolutely love being up here. Thank you all for being so warm and welcoming. And of course, it's always good when you've got a few $100 million to give away, right? So I think you're going to agree that since her first regional council meeting, the Lieutenant Governor has played an integral role in this process. I'm not sure if there's been a day that she hasn't been on the road guiding and supporting the efforts of each of the regional council and their members. Let's give a huge, big round of applause to Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. Now, I'd like you all to try and remember back 5 years ago. I know it's not the most pleasant memory to dig back into, right? Some of you kind of cringe at that thought. New York's economy was in trouble, to put it lightly. Unemployment was at a staggering 8%. Nearly 325,000 New Yorkers had lost their jobs in the wake of the recession. Plus, the problems that had plagued the state for years continued to persist. We're talking about things like late budgets, overwhelming deficits, high unemployment, and a gridlocked political system. Fast forward to today, New York is a very different place. 5 consecutive timely budgets, spending is under control, taxes at their lowest point in more than 50 years. And if that isn't exciting enough, New York now has a record 7.9 million private sector jobs, more than any time in history. In fact, since the beginning of Governor Cuomo's administration, New York's economy has added 748,700 private sector jobs and experienced employment growth in 50 of the past 58 months. The Empire State has done a complete 180, and a huge part of the transformation is thanks to the work of these regional councils and the nearly $3 billion that has been awarded since 2011. More than 3,000 of you have taken time away from your families, away from your successful careers in order to help revitalize your communities as council member or member of the work group and subcommittees. Without these efforts, or that of the leadership of Governor Cuomo, there is little doubt that New York would still be stuck in an economic rut. So on behalf of everybody in this room and across New York State, we thank you for your dedication. Now, I know you guys are all here for the announcements, but before we get to the awards themselves, I would like to welcome New York State Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli to the mic for a few words.
Good morning. Thank you, Kirsten, for that very kind introduction. I'm grateful for the opportunity to join the governor, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, John Flanagan, the great majority leader in the Senate, members of the legislature, and leaders of our Regional Economic Development Council on this very, very exciting day. I want to recognize Speaker Carl Heastie for his leadership of the People's House. Speaker Heastie has reaffirmed the Assembly majority's commitment to rebuilding our state's economy, every single corner of it. I want to acknowledge the many members of the New York State Assembly who are in the audience today and thank them for their amazing contributions to the support of the Regional Economic Development Councils and the Upstate Revitalization effort. Could you please give them a big round of applause? And I want to thank them for, each of them, for their hard work, not only as public servants, which they do in their tireless work on behalf of their communities, but also as a part of building a brighter economic future for our state. As Majority Leader, I take great pride in the collaborative partnership that we have with the governor, with the Senate, and for the opportunity we've been given to play a direct role in advancing the priorities of our regional economies. One need only point to the unprecedented investments that will be announced not only here today through the Regional Economic Development Councils and the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, as an example of the governor's unwavering commitment, but the last 5 years, which Kirsten has detailed. It's been truly an exciting time for New York. In the past 5 years, we have witnessed how these councils have fundamentally transformed how we think about and approach our state's economy. This is in no small part thanks to the personal investments made by each of the members of the Regional Economic Development Councils and the spirit of collaboration that they bring to their efforts day in and day out. New York has really begun to realize the true economic potential of the 21st century, and it's largely because of the work of these groups. As a member of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council, I can personally attest to how hard the men and women of these councils have worked and have witnessed firsthand how they have come together to form a common economic vision. It's the one thing that I think stands out about this. When you have the charge to do this, you look for transformative projects in each region. It's forced us to focus, and I find it truly inspiring. I want to thank the governor for giving us the opportunity to do that. I also want to say one other word about one of the great things I think this has done. As one of the leaders in Rochester, the Monroe County Rochester Anti-Poverty Initiative, the fact that the governor has invested so much in the opportunity agenda, in rising all boats, and making sure everyone participates in this economy, which we continue to grow, and have made it such an important part of the revitalization effort. So I want to thank him again for that. In closing, I want to wish you all a safe and happy holiday season and a prosperous new year. And on behalf of the State Assembly, I again thank each of you who have participated as members of the regional councils and wish you the very best of luck this morning. God bless you. Thank you.
Now, please welcome New York State Senate Majority Leader John Flanagan.
All right, so good morning, good afternoon, good morning. And I am absolutely delighted to be here. I was thinking about this. I've been working in the legislature for now 29 years, and you get so acclimated to things that go on in Albany. You know, if you said to someone outside of Albany, where are you going? I'm going to a meeting. Where's the meeting going to be? It's going to be at the Egg. Everyone would be like, what's the Egg? You know, only people who work in Albany can understand what the Hart Theater is and what it means to be in the Egg. But I am delighted to be here with my colleagues in government today, and I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor, who epitomizes the values of being a public servant. She has traveled the state far and wide. We have run into each other on a number of occasions, and she is a terrific ambassador for New York State and certainly for our Governor, Andrew Cuomo. I want to thank Kirsten. Yes, give her a round of applause. Come on. I want to thank Kirsten, and I want to thank Assemblyman Morelli. We've been friends and colleagues for a long period of time, and he is a great ambassador on behalf of the New York State Assembly and on behalf of Speaker Carl Hastie. Now, Speaker Hastie and I it's almost like we've been having a challenge without even having a challenge. We've been both traveling the state quite a bit. One time we actually ran into each other on the walkway on the Hudson. I was visiting with Senator Serino up in the Hudson Valley, but you know, he kind of one-upped me. You know, he's not here today, but Assemblyman Morelli is standing in his place. He's in Israel, and he's there for a week with some of our colleagues, and I'm sure he is talking about economic development in the state of New York and trying to entice people from Israel to come and invest in the state of New York. So I wish him well, and frankly, to everybody, the best of happy holidays and a glorious December, and as we come into next year, prosperity for everyone. At the risk of making an error, I'm going to do this. There are a number of my colleagues who I see here today, gratified very much to see them and to be with them. And I'm just going to take the opportunity to single out one person who happens to be the newest member of the New York State Senate of our Republican conference from the Southern Tier, the 52nd Senate District. He is here waiting with bated breath to find out what's going to happen to the Binghamton area, and that is our new colleague and friend, Senator Fred Akshar. And I'm telling you, not for anything, my God, we love having you in our conference, all right? So now I also see, just by way of reference, my colleague, the president and chief executive officer of the Long Island Association. So what I would say is, and that is Kevin Law, ladies and gentlemen, who does great work on behalf of Long Island. But in traveling the state, this is what I think I continue to learn. New York State is the Empire State. I'm a born and bred New Yorker, 54 years. And by the way, I almost forgot. I'm just a little younger than the guy who's going to follow me to speak, who just celebrated a birthday. So come on, give him a round of applause. Wish the governor a happy birthday. And of course, I would never bring that up if I were older, but since I'm younger, I can do that. So anyway, what I would say is, in traveling and listening to business people and not-for-profits, everybody basically wants the same thing. They want opportunity. They want chances. They want to have skin in the game. And they want to be able to know that when they advance projects and agendas, that New York State is listening. Now, I think there are plenty of things that we do well, and frankly, there are things that we can do better. Looking forward to working with the governor and the Assembly to do those good things prospectively. But from where we sit today, I look at this as a situation where everybody benefits. Everybody benefits. Some get a little bit more money, but everybody is going to get money. And that inures to the benefit of residents and taxpayers and constituents all across the state of New York. And as we speak about these awards, we are lauding what is going on in New York State and talking about how things can get better, how they are going well, and the imprimatur of the governor and these economic development councils in terms of the well-being of New York State. So I look forward to working with my colleagues, in particular on behalf of the Senate Republican majority and on behalf of the taxpayers of the state of New York. I really look forward to hearing what the governor has to say, and 2016 is going to be an absolutely awesome year for the state of New York. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Why do they make them so big? It's now my pleasure to introduce the man behind much of New York State's economic resurgence. We're talking about Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you, Donna.
Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome back to Albany. It's my pleasure to be here. And let me begin by thanking a team that has done a lot of work to get us here today. The Lieutenant Governor mentioned them, but the Economic Development Department for the state really did a great job in going through all these applications and doing all the work. Howard Zemsky and his whole team, Jim Malatras and his whole team. Let's give them a round of applause. To Kirsten Cole, thank you very much for coming up and moderating today. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Our great Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul. Thank you, Kathy. And we have our representatives of the legislature from the Senate, a great senator, a man with whom I share a great relationship, and I am very excited about 2016 and what we're going to do. Senator John Flanagan. And you got a glimpse of the new type of relationships that we have here in Albany, the new legislative relations. Senator Flanagan just mentioned that he had a meeting with Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie on the walkway across the Hudson. What a beautiful, romantic spot for the legislative leaders to meet and look out at the beautiful Hudson and talk about their future together. That's the kind of legislative relations we have in Albany. We have Majority Leader Joe Morelli, who is representing the Speaker today. I also have good relations with the Assembly. It's no secret that I have tension with Joe Morelli personally. You know there's nothing like the tension between people from northern Italy and southern Italy, but we're working it through. And he is doing an extraordinary job, Majority Leader Joe Morelle. And the people who really deserve the applause, and what this is all about, is every one of you who worked so long and so hard in this competition year after year after year, not because you get paid to do it, not because you have a benefit, but because you believe in being a citizen of your community, and you believe in your community, and you believe in your town, and you believe in your city, and you believe in your county, and you believe in this great state of New York, and you have invested your time to make your community stronger, and God bless you for doing it. Let's give you a round of applause, the people in this room. Now, I know the anticipation. I know you want to cut to the chase. I know you want to just know who won and what the results were, but just a couple of points, if I can. Because this has been a learning experience for all of us. And as Kirsten was speaking about the past 4 years, we knew we had to do things differently. But we were trying to do something that was never done before. So it really was an iterative process. And we learned a little bit each year, and the process has evolved and gotten better each and every year. But it's important to remember what we accomplished, so we don't make the mistakes that we did make again, because we were in a bad place. And the truth is that this state government, and I'm not proud to say it, for many years did not show upstate New York the need and the attention that upstate New York deserved. That is the truth. Upstate New York was suffering for decades economically, and the state government was not as attentive. Now, I understand the politics of it. The way the state is configured, the majority of the population is downstate. The political representation is concentrated downstate. The upstate political representation is not as unified. You have a delegation from Buffalo, but that's different than the delegation from Rochester, different than the delegation from Syracuse, whereas you had a concentration of political power in downstate New York. So you had to make a conscious effort to focus on upstate New York, and we did that. We said upstate New York needed attention. We recognized that the state government had not been responsive enough, and we made that direct corrective action. The truth is also, what the state government did do to help upstate New York was not enough and was not right. We had ruptured an economic artery in upstate New York. We were losing people, and we were losing jobs year after year after year, and this went on for decades. And the answer was, the question was, well, can Albany provide a pint of blood? And Albany said, we'll give you half a pint of blood. But in truth, we were losing more jobs and people than we were putting back in. And in truth, the answer is not for the state government to try to subsidize fundamentally insolvent governments. The solution is to make those insolvent governments solvent and to make them economically sound. The state can't possibly subsidize governments that can't pay their bills. The state would have to raise the taxes even higher. If we raise the taxes even higher, what we would have done is accelerate the exodus. So it would have actually accelerated the inevitable. The only way to do it was to get upstate communities to be economically self-sufficient. And that meant, A, stop the hemorrhage, stop the loss, and then actually create economic opportunity and create jobs and getting jobs coming in and getting businesses coming in. Now, that was a tall order. It's very easily said, but it's very hard to do. And it was complicated because it wasn't all about the locality. The state was a contributing factor to the decline in upstate New York. That's the truth. The state, for many years, was spending and spending and spending. And when you spend a lot of money, you know what you have to do? You have to raise taxes. to pay for the spending. And this state spent money it didn't have. We were spending for 50 years almost twice the rate of inflation. And that's why the taxes were going up so high. And that's why people were leaving and businesses were leaving. We were a contributing factor. What did we have to do? We had to get spending under control. Now, getting spending under control is also very easy to say. It's like saying you have to get eating under control. You are putting on weight because you are consuming too many calories. All you have to do is stop consuming the calories. I got it. I understand that concept. I got it. I put on 7 pounds over Thanksgiving. Why? It's very hard not to consume the calories. When you're in Albany, it's very hard not to spend. Everyone has a good idea. And by the way, they are good ideas. We should do this, we should do this, we should do this. Yeah. And we spent a lot of money. But we said we were going to go on a spending diet. And we did. We've held spending under 2% for 5 years. That is the lowest level of spending increase since they have been keeping numbers, believe it or not. Since before Rockefeller's time, there has been no administration that has had a spending increase as low as what this state government has done. And it's not that we're not doing more good things. We're doing more good things, but we're doing it within the budget and for less money. Well, how did you do that? First of all, when you start with a $140 billion budget, you can do a lot of good things. And the answer doesn't always have to be, we need more money. The first question is, by the way, what are we doing with the first $140 billion? And how do we do more good things with that money? But we did it. We consumed less calories. Once you cut spending, it allowed us to cut taxes. And we've cut all taxes dramatically. Taxes are down for every New Yorker in the state, period. Middle class tax rate is down to the lowest level since the 50s. Manufacturing tax, 0, not since 1917. So we made the business climate better on the state level. We then said to the localities, now we removed some of the barriers. Now it's up to you, locality, you local government, you working with the business community to come up with a plan to attract jobs. And even that is new and different because the political structure can't do that. It's not about the mayor and the supervisor. They don't create jobs. They're in government. The business sector creates jobs. So we said you have to make a marriage that you've never made before. And by the way, any marriage is difficult. I know, I'm divorced. To make a marriage between the political establishment and the business community is very, very difficult. And then we said, not just that marriage, but it has to be a regional focus. Because you're not going to get businesses to come back just to a city. They come back to a region, a competitive region. So we said to the localities, if you can make a marriage between government and business, and if you can have a regional context, and if you can come up with real business deals, not I think maybe we could, I think if I build a factory, maybe somebody will come. If you identify a real company and a real person with a name who will come and create jobs and quantify those jobs, we will then partner with you and invest in you. That's what this was about. A totally different approach. Honest, recognizing what the state did wrong for many years, recognizing what the localities did wrong for many years, recognizing what we need to do to change the basic evolution and the basic trajectory. And then this legislature, these senators, and these assembly people said, we'll put our money where our mouth is. This is the largest investment in upstate New York since the Erie Canal. Today, we are investing $1 billion in upstate New York, and we are actualizing 1,000 economic development projects all across upstate New York. Just today. So, the proof is in the pudding. We have invested over $7 billion in upstate New York over the past 5 years. We have created 150,000 new jobs in upstate New York. We're no longer talking about an exodus and a loss. We're now actually talking about a positive creation of 150,000 new jobs in upstate New York. Unemployment is down by about half in the state of New York over the past 4 or 5 years. And you know what I'm most proud of? It's down in every region of the state. It's not just downstate that's doing better. It is the entire state of New York where we're creating jobs and we're bringing down unemployment. And downstate is now responding, upstate is now responding the same way downstate New York was responding. And the credit goes to the people in this room because you have stimulated those local economic engines all across the state. And give yourselves another round of applause. Now, just so we understand about today, there are 2 different programs that we will be speaking to. The Urban Revitalization Initiative Program and the Regional Economic Development Councils. There will be 3 winners of the Urban Revitalization Initiative. They win $500 million over 5 years, $100 million per year. And then the Regional Economic Development Councils, which is the program that then manifests this new policy. And what the Regional Economic Development Council awards do is it took 15 separate state programs, combined all 15, and rather than Albany making decisions on 15 different programs, combined those funds and said to the local community, you work together, you work with your local elected officials, you work with the assemblyman and the senator, and you tell us how to spend that money and how to allocate that money. So the URI and the REDC winners, the range of award, if a region wins everything today, it's about $120 million. The range is from 120 to 80 million. And the difference is really that the URI allows future planning. The URI says to a community, you know you're going to get $100 million for 5 years, and you can then plan the future projects. Now, that is very important. And that is a lesson we learned in Buffalo, by the way. And the lieutenant governor knows this very well. They talk about the Buffalo billion. And everyone said, well, they got $1 billion. The Buffalo billion was not about the $1 billion. Sounded great, got people's attention. But we've only spent about half of the $1 billion in Buffalo. What it did do in Buffalo was 2 things. It said you can plan the future and there is a funding stream in the future so you don't have to go year to year. And there was a shock and awe factor of the $1 billion, which said to the people in Buffalo, believe in the future and don't dismiss this as just another government political plan because it is different. And getting the people in Buffalo to believe, once again, is important, and I'll come back to that in a second. But it allowed people to plan. And that's the beauty of winning the URI. It's a 5-year plan. I believe in the ability for the local communities to plan. I'm going to propose in the budget next year to my colleagues in the legislature for those regions that are not successful today in the URI grant, we allocate an additional $50 million to those regions, those 4 regions, so they know they'll get $50 million to fund their top priorities, because there are no bad proposals. in these applications. And the last point is this. You have to appreciate what you have done, and you have to pinch yourself a little bit and get a little perspective and appreciate how different the trajectory of Upstate is. When I talked about the Buffalo Billion and people believing, that is an important factor in all of this. The communities that do well and that thrive are the communities that believe in themselves and believe in their future. I spent 8 years in the federal government doing economic development all across the country. And I was in the most rundown places, East St. Louis, the Akrons, the Pittsburghs, the Colonias on the Mexico border. And I was always intrigued by what communities actually succeed and what communities don't succeed. And the communities that succeed, you could almost feel it when you landed at the airport. You felt the energy. You felt the optimism. You felt the drive. You felt the dynamic. And you said, these people have got it. They're going to do it. I believe in these people. They believe in themselves, and that's infectious, and I believe in them. The positive energy creates a positive synergy. By the way, the negative energy creates a negative synergy. Well, I'm leaving, my son is leaving, that feeds itself. And for many, many years, the negative fed itself in upstate New York. The truth is now the arrows are up. We're creating jobs. Unemployment is down. Companies that had left upstate New York are now coming back. GE left Utica 40 years ago. They're coming back. Rochester won a national photonics grant. Buffalo, the largest solar manufacturer in the hemisphere. I mean, amazing stuff is happening in the state, and it's happening in upstate. And they have to believe that. And yes, the past has been bad, but it is a different day. I had a conversation with my father once. He said, I just talked to somebody from Buffalo, and he said, the numbers are looking better in Buffalo. I said, yes, but the faces haven't changed. People have to believe. I knew Buffalo was going to turn around when I could look at the audience and I saw smiles. And I saw energy in their face. And I knew that they believed it was a different tomorrow. This is an investment. It's an investment that's going to stimulate business and growth. It's an investment that's going to help the future of your communities. But when you go home, you have two jobs. One, spread the word that good things are happening and more good things are going to happen. We have a momentum. We have an energy. The future is bright. And keep pushing that stone every day. The communities that are going to make it are the communities that believe in themselves, use the opportunities that are presented to them, but create their own destiny every day. And that's what New Yorkers are all about. And that's who we are as a people. And that's where we came from. All of us, wherever your people came from, whatever country they came from. This state put up the welcome sign and said, if you're a self-starter and you have guts and you're willing to work, come here and let's build the greatest state in the nation. And we did. And that's the blood in your veins. And we're going to do it again. And it starts today. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Governor. That was definitely from the heart. This is a message that you own. And now on to the moment everybody has been waiting for, the awards. Oh yeah, come on. You can hoot and holler. Or as I like to call it, who wants to be a billionaire? This year, as usual, all 10 regions are eligible for the traditional REDC funding. 7 of those regions are in the running for the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, which 3 of them will each receive $500 million over 5 years, plus those additional REDC funds. I wish I could get this pay structure in my contract, guys. The remaining 4 regions, along with Western New York, New York City, and Long Island, will be eligible for 3 REDC Top Performer Awards. Now, it's worth noting that the final 4 awards will each receive more than any of last year's top performers. So truly, everybody here is a winner today. Now, every region in the state submitted a compelling proposal, and to give you an idea of what each of you has been working on, we've compiled some brief videos to do the explaining for us. I know Lieutenant Governor Hochul mentioned them earlier, so let's go ahead and start with Western New York. The Western New York Regional Economic Development Council consists of stakeholders from Allegheny, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, Erie, and Niagara counties. Here's a snapshot of Western New York's plan.
Western New York, the birthplace of comedy legend Lucille Ball, home to so many economic success stories, we can hardly keep up. In the first 4 rounds of the competition, the Regional Economic Development Council received more than $272 million in state funding. Of 304 projects, 82% are complete or on schedule. Roswell Park Cancer Institute has a new research facility. The former Bethlehem Steel site is being redeveloped, and the National Comedy Center in Lucy's hometown is expanding.
It's amazing because you don't think of Jamestown as a thriving comedic center, but it is in fact, and people should know that.
Out here, it's all about action and implementation. Thanks to the Buffalo Billion and 43 North, neighborhoods are transforming. College graduates are moving back. After years of struggle, Buffalo is rising. Thousands of people are back to work. And once and for all, Western New York will have the last laugh.
Western New York is a regional plan awardee and will receive $83.9 million to implement its plan. I would like to invite the council co-chairs, Dr. Satish Tripathi and Jeff Belt, as well as the state legislators and local elected officials from Western New York, up to the stage to accept your award. Next up, let's talk about the Finger Lakes region, which includes Genesee, Livingston, Monroe, Ontario, Orleans, Seneca, Wayne, Wyoming, and Yates counties, each with its own unique economic strengths and challenges. Let's take a look at their proposal.
If there's one thing the Finger Lakes Regional Council has shown us over the past 4 rounds, it's that there is more to this place than wine. A top performer twice, Finger Lakes has made the most of $305 million in awards, working towards completion on 355 projects that propel job growth and create pathways to prosperity. The council's focus on revitalizing Eastman Business Park is paying off. As Vice President Biden and Governor Cuomo announced this summer, the park will host manufacturing operations for the groundbreaking Integrated Photonics Institute for Manufacturing Innovation. It will create and support thousands of advanced jobs across upstate and the U.S. But Finger Lakes sees an unprecedented opportunity to build upon its achievements and move Finger Lakes forward with the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, now especially that the region finds itself at a crossroads.
It's this paradox we present to you. On the one hand, a community which is making real progress. And on the other hand, our work in terms of chronic urban poverty has just begun.
The council's working closely with the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, developing strategies that will connect all populations with the resources, education, and training programs they need to share in the region's growing prosperity. Now more than ever, the council is prepared to continue moving the region forward, Finger Lakes forward.
Happy to say the Finger Lakes has been selected as a URI Best Plan and will receive $500 million. I would like to invite the council co-chairs, Danny Wegman, Joel Seligman, as well as the state legislators and local elected officials from Finger Lakes up to the stage. Next up, we'd like to talk about the Southern Tier, which encompasses the counties of Broome, Chemung, Shenango, Delaware, Schuyler, Steuben, Tioga, and Tompkins. Let's have a look.
The Southern Tier, a largely rural area full of dairy farms, quaint towns, and an abundance of natural resources. And in contrast, this region also offers modern amenities, urban comforts, significant educational institutions, and a readiness for manufacturing companies. Over the past 4 years, the Southern Tier has been a top performer in 2012, 13, and 14. And here's why. They've used over $303 million REDC dollars to support 298 projects across their region, and 87% of those are completed or on their way. Projects like Corning's heavy-duty diesel truck facility in 2012, Elmira College's Healthcare Training Center in 2013, the improvements at Watkins Glen Racetrack in 2014. And this year, the Southern Tier wants to build on its successes as it competes for the Upstate Revitalization Competition, as well as the REDC funding.
We really do believe that the Southern Tier isn't just going to be a region when we're done. We think it's going to be a destination.
Their plan is to create ideal conditions for economic growth. The Southern Tier has been working hard to create that spark that will ignite this region into a hotbed of innovation, business growth, and a destination for future generations.
And the Southern Tier has been selected as a URI Best Plan. Will receive $500 million. We'd like to invite Council Co-Chairs Tom Tranter and Dr. Harvey Stenger, as well as the state legislators and local elected officials from the Southern Tier, up to the stage. Onto our central New York region now, including the counties of Cayuga, Cortland, Madison, Onondaga, and Oswego. Here's how central New York plans to keep growing its economy.
What does central New York have to do with Super Bowl 49 in Glendale, Arizona? It's the stadium lighting, a cutting-edge LED system designed in the heart of Syracuse. Ephesus Lighting is part of the city's growing Downtown Innovation District, supported by the Regional Economic Development Council. In the first 4 rounds of the REDC competition, 3-time top performer Central New York received $344 million in state funding. Of 311 projects, 83% are completed or on schedule, including a brand new headquarters and R&D site for Ephesus Lighting, a reimagined and redeveloped Hotel Syracuse. But we're not stopping there. Central New York is advancing a bold 3-part plan to strengthen concentrations in targeted industries, improve connections to national and global economies, and revitalize the region's urban cores. Plus, Central New York is competing in the Upstate Revitalization Initiative with a plan to sharpen its economic vision and put even more people back to work. The region that lit the Super Bowl is just getting started. It's game time in Central New York.
And Central New York has been selected as a URI Best Plan, will receive $500 million. Come on up, Council co-chairs Robert Simpson and Dr. Kent Severud, as well as state legislators and local elected officials from Central New York. Next is the Mohawk Valley Council, whose members are from Fulton, Herkimer, Montgomery, Oneida, Otsego, and Schoharie counties. Let's see what the Mohawk Valley is planning to do this year.
Put a finger on the economic pulse in the Mohawk Valley, and you'll feel resurgence. Through investment and collaboration, the Mohawk Valley Regional Economic Development Council is breathing life back into the heart of New York State. Since 2011, the Mohawk Valley has taken advantage of more than $260 million in state funds. That money was instrumental in 264 projects. It's also directly impacted more than 7,000 jobs. Now, as part of the Upstate Revitalization Initiative and to complement the work of the REDC, the Mohawk Valley has created a cross-sectional team of talent from around the region. With an additional $500 million on the line, you can feel the energy and see the excitement building throughout the region. The Mohawk Valley is a top tourism destination statewide, accounting for $1.67 billion in direct spending in the area. The region is growing business and industry, especially in advanced technologies. The Marcy Nano Center will be at full capacity and welcome Austrian semiconductor manufacturer AMS AG, its first commercial tenant, in 2016. And the $4 billion investment from AMS and GE at SUNY Poly's Utica campus is driving a renewed sense of optimism and opportunity. The attitude is changing in the Mohawk Valley, and it's a breath of fresh air for the heart of New York State.
The Mohawk Valley is an REDC top performer and will receive $100.3 million for its proposals. Come on up, Council co-chairs Dr. Robert Geer and Larry Gilroy, as well as the state legislators and local elected officials from Mohawk Valley. Now we're moving on to the North Country, which is our largest region and includes council members from Clinton, Essex, Franklin, Hamilton, Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties. This is what the North Country has in store for this year.
The North Country has received more than $338 million in state funding through the REDC since 2011. That money has supported nearly 5,000 jobs and 291 projects that are either completed or in progress right now. With the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, the North Country wants to show the state and the world what it has to offer. The North Country is attractive. More than 2.3 million people visited the region last year, spending $1.1 billion. Attendance records are being set at the new Wild Walk at the Wild Center in Tupper Lake, an REDC priority project, and at state parks and campgrounds throughout the North Country. The North Country is innovative. Communities are feeling the energy of growth in transit equipment, biotech, manufacturing, and aerospace, where the sky is literally the limit. Bombardier recently completed its $26 million expansion project, and Clarkson University's Innovation Hotspot program hit the ground running with significant interest and participation. The North Country is global. The region is exporting everything from manufacturing equipment to sporting goods. And the North Country is home. The positive changes are evident near Fort Drum, where some 900 new housing units have been added, mostly for soldiers and their families. The North Country, qualities for the future.
And the North Country is an REDC Regional Plan awardee and will receive $85.1 million to implement its plans. Come on up, co-chairs Dr. Tony Collins and Gary Douglas, as well as state legislators and local elected officials from North Country. Next up, we have our capital region. That includes the counties of Albany, Columbia, Greene, Rensselaer, Saratoga, Schenectady, Warren, and Washington. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the capital region plans on continuing its success.
It's one of the fastest growing high-tech job markets in the country, the capital region. A center of Tech Valley that's gaining recognition and earning respect as a global technology hub. With the help of Governor Cuomo and the Capital Region Economic Development Council, the Capital Region has taken nearly $260 million in award money and leveraged that into more than $1.35 billion in additional investment since 2011. An impressive 83% of projects have been completed or are on schedule, including one in the high-tech industry at SUNY Poly. New York State's continued investment in SUNY Poly has created thousands of jobs. The renovation of Wellington Row marks a major step in Albany's revitalization, and Warren County's Finch Paper is modernizing the plant's manufacturing process while preserving jobs. In 2014, Capital Region exports totaled $5.9 billion, supporting 17,000 jobs. Now, with the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, the Capital Region is amping up its success by developing a transformational economic strategy driven by data and shaped by the community. When you put the Tech Valley in focus, The future is clear. More jobs, more people, higher productivity, more inclusive.
And the Capital Region is an RADC top performer and will receive $98.1 million for its proposals. Come on up, co-chairs James Barba and Dr. Robert Jones and the rest of the state legislators and local electeds. Heading to the south, the Mid-Hudson region is comprised of stakeholders from Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester counties. This is what the Mid-Hudson Regional Council has been working on.
Mid-Hudson has been named a top performer twice, a testament to the Regional Council's vision not of 7 counties, but of one region, which has positioned it for success. By working as a team with a unified strategy, Mid-Hudson has brought more than $300 million into the region, supporting 351 projects in the first 4 rounds. Many of the projects also support state priorities and initiatives, like growing the beer, wine, cider, and spirits industries. The Equilibrium Brewery in Middletown and the Hudson Valley Brewery in Beacon are transforming historic buildings into hubs for up-and-coming entrepreneurs working to make the region a center of the Made in America craft beer movement. Eco-efficient USAI Lighting in New Windsor has grown from a $6 million company to a $35.5 million cutting-edge industry leader in less than a decade, and it is poised to expand further, all with the support of the Regional Council. But Mid-Hudson is aiming even higher this year. Its URI plan focuses on 3 complementary initiatives: live, work, and play, that work together to generate interest, create jobs, and foster workplace development opportunities. For the Mid-Hudson Regional Council, it's all about one effort, one vision, one region.
And the Mid-Hudson region is an RADC Regional Plan awardee and will receive $90.4 million to implement its plans. Come on up, Council Co-Chair Dr. Dennis Murray, as well as legislators and local electeds from Mid-Hudson. On to New York City now. The Regional Council encompasses Bronx, Kings, New York, Queens, and Richmond counties. Here is the Big Apple's plan.
New York City is known as an economic leader in New York, in the nation, and throughout the world. But its Regional Economic Development Council is changing the way the 5 boroughs do business, focusing on projects that generate a range of good jobs for all of its workers. It's a solution that starts at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, an urban manufacturing district with public and private investment that areas around the globe look to imitate. It's there that Steiner Studios has revitalized long vacant buildings into 10 sound stages, the largest and most sophisticated studio complex outside of Hollywood. In the Bronx, Perscolis is training hundreds of software testers today for the jobs of tomorrow. With the help of the REDC, they're hoping to make this borough the city's next tech corridor. While the city's major engine has historically been Wall Street, its regional council focuses on transforming the economy and giving communities a boost from the ground up. With the proposed projects on tap for Round 5, in addition to the $236 million that's funded 231 projects, 85% of which are complete or on schedule, New York City's REDC success is lifting up all 5 boroughs, making it a new type of global force that works for all New Yorkers.
And the New York City is an REDC Regional Plan awardee and will receive $84.1 million for its proposals. Come on up, Council Co-Chair Winston Fisher and President of the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, Marlene Cintron, as well as the legislator and local electeds. Now on to Long Island, home to Nassau and Suffolk counties. Long Island's Regional Council was a top performer. Go Suffolk in the house. Was a top performer last year. Let's see what they've got in store now.
There's a new wave of progress on the shores of Long Island. The region that cracked the genetic code is now showing the world what's possible in biotechnology.
I think Long Island's potential to be a biotech center, I think, is huge. This investment we've received is essential for making that happen.
The Long Island Regional Economic Development Council is a 3-time top performer, receiving more than $326 million in state funding for 347 projects. Today, 85% of priority projects are completed or are on schedule. Hofstra University is developing sophisticated new robotics, 3D, and even 4D printing. And Amneal Pharmaceuticals is stepping up production at its newly expanded manufacturing site.
On top of that, we added 450 additional jobs. As soon as the new construction gets ready next June, we intend to add another 400 to 450 new employees.
We're building back from the storm and building up our communities, while telling the world that biotech begins on Long Island.
And Long Island is an REDC top performer and will receive $98.3 million for its proposals. Come on up, Council Co-Chairs Dr. Stuart Rabinowitz and Kevin Law, as well as the rest of you who made this happen.
Can you get 1.7 more?
That's it, guys. You tapped us out. The governor says there's no more money left after all of this. You guys were a terrific audience. I have to say, the most receptive audience I've been in front of. I suppose it helps to have $1.5 billion to hand out to make everybody happy. Nobody's griping about the meal because there wasn't one. But that's okay. You all can enjoy your celebratory luncheons and hopefully some libations afterwards. It's been terrific here to be back up in Albany. I am hoping that I can see you tomorrow morning on the other side of the screen. If not on your cable system on Pix 11 News, then go for your small screen. We're on an app and we stream live. And of course, my Facebook is always up. Kirsten Cole, great to have you here today. Congratulations. And guys, happy holidays and have a great new year. Make it work.